Sorry, I was just outside and air quality sucks.
Air quality. I was wanting to go for the trifecta of beginning our third podcast in a row by complaining about how hot it is outside. But I see that you have figured that out now because of the what do they call this? A heat dome or an air inversion or a high
The air quality alerts
air
or something.
air quality alert.
Yeah.
So we got some heavy, stale, hot air, and all of our pollution won't leave. It's just lingering.
It's just sitting and hanging around. And it is noticeable, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Ugh. It kind of smells like a steel mill. Where Dad worked at the steel mill, I would drive down past there sometimes, and they could always just smell the sulfur or whatever that was, the pollution in the air.
Yep. And I think out west now with like some of the forest fires going on, I know there's people that, you ever get that where you can see the smoke in the skies, or you might not get that? I've seen it before here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, there was something, I think last year, we had some weird night skies, when the sun starts going down, and they said it was from forest fires out west.
Yeah.
And then crazy. I saw in the news that there is a volcano erupting in Iceland.
Yep.
And they said that if it gets bad, it could disrupt air travel between North America and Europe. And I remember that happened a few years ago. There was this big volcano erupted somewhere, and it just shut down air travel for a while.
Ugh.
Yeah. I don't know how you are, but I prefer clean air to breathe.
Yes, that is actually one of my preferences as well. I do prefer the clean, polluted.
You know how they say too, everything that is enjoyable is bad for you. Oreo cookies, that rich food that you eat. It's just plugging up your arteries. It's just bad for you. And it's like the same thing with wood smoke. It just smells so awesome, and it elicits childhood memories and just happy times. And then you learn that it's not very healthy to breathe.
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you mean. It's if you've been around it and growing up, and it brings back those memories, and it's enjoyable actually. I mean,
yeah,
I
am a naturally inquisitive person, and when I hear stuff, or if there's a belief that someone has, I take the time just to research it a little bit. I don't go that deep into it, but I try to get a general understanding. But I can't remember where it came from, but I started researching wood smoke, and I am around it a lot, as I'm sure you are too, with that outdoor wood boiler.
Yep.
Every day, twice a day, when I open that door, I'm getting blasted by smoke, but it smells awesome. But I looked into it, and it was depressing because the particulate matter in the smoke, it's bad for you. And there's this, it's called PM 2.5. It's like 2.5 microns per something. And it can get into your bloodstream through your lungs.
Yeah. It's nasty.
Yeah. So I was thinking, oh my God, and they said, if you just smell it, at a campfire, it's not going to harm you, but prolonged exposure. And I says, well, wait a second. I have prolonged exposure to wood smoke,
every day.
It was kind of an eye opener. And it just goes back to the Oreo cookies or the apple pie, the Dr. Pepper, everything brings you joy in life turns out to be bad for you.
Yeah. I have my boiler kind of enclosed in a shed. So I was really noticing it. I would come in from filling up and I'd blow my nose and I would just see, soot.
Uh-huh.
So now I've started when I go out, I put on one of those respirator air filter things.
Oh, you do?
And I just wear that as I'm filling it, and it's made a big difference. I've actually noticed I'm not hacking as much in the winter, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, mine is outdoors, and when you open the door at first, there's like a big billowing smoke that comes out of the door, and I try to stay out of the way of that. But I'm not totally escaping it. I don't wear a mask or anything, but
Yeah, I think being in the open,
maybe
it's a little different.
yeah, but it's still that was depressing when I read that. And what maybe I should have just remained ignorant on wood smoke, but yeah, and that's where the other time that this came up, I delivered to this one restaurant, and they have a chain of restaurants, and there's one up in Cleveland, and it is in a very affluent area, and they cook with wood, and they when they opened for business, they started getting a lot of complaints from the neighbors because it was filling up their neighborhood with wood smoke.
Mm.
And I thought, wow, that would be a great problem to have. You could just smell all this wood smoke. And then but they cited all these health problems with it. Maybe that's when I started looking into it. I was thinking, well, what the heck, is there really health problems with smelling wood smoke? Well, there is.
Yep, turns out there is.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there is. And that's where like some of these municipalities and cities and these homeowner associations, which we don't really have that many here in Ohio, but you see, there's like big lawsuits, or some person gets fined, thousands of dollars because they dared to put up an American flag, because it
Yeah.
violates the what are they, HOAs that,
Yeah, I think
you
that's
know,
right.
yeah, that you get into a community like that, and then they pass rules where you can't build a house with a chimney, or you can't burn wood for heat.
Yeah, there's
And
some crazy
that just
rules
seems
that go
weird.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know how you are, Dan. I live a practical lifestyle, which means I don't get wrapped around the axle with politics and I mean, I got a friend. He, I think he just finds it enjoyable. But when you get to know him, he's not very happy because he's mad all the time. And he's always complaining about politics and this and that. And I know for a fact that he loses sleep because of a congresswoman that he just can't stand. And then I don't pay attention to this stuff. Well, the congresswoman isn't even in his district. And then I go on to find out that she's not even in his state, but he just loses his brain over this because
Yep.
she doesn't like. I was like, well, of course she's not of your beliefs because she's not from your district.
Yeah.
That's the way this is supposed to work. But people just get so wrapped around the axle when they, well, they're coming after, well, are they in your neighborhood? These rules, and just because a city on the other side of the country passes an ordinance about wood smoke, I mean, yeah, I'm sitting out here in the country and I'm thinking, well, that's weird. Well, I don't live in the city.
Right.
so maybe that is weird to me, but that's just the way I live. So why do I worry about what's going on in someone else's town and someone else's state?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think though a lot of the like complaints and I guess potential regulations have actually been like kind of heard by the manufacturers of like outdoor wood boilers because I know
Yeah.
they're now starting to have like gasification units that reburn the smoke and the fumes to try to burn off as much as they can, and you know
Hmm.
they require like more seasoned wood in order to function properly. So I think and it only makes sense. I mean, for me, like I added an additional height, another section of stack to my chimney on my boiler, just because it was kind of close to my neighbors, and I wanted the smoke to be up and out, blowing out as much as possible. So
Uh-huh.
there is, I think, a little common sense and courtesy as a wood burner you could take to, I guess maybe lessen the complaints and potential future
Yeah.
regulations.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Where do you think we're going? Where do you see firewood, Dan, in the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years?
Oh man, that is a great question. I
Uh-huh.
I continue to see just kind of what's been happening with more and more, maybe not necessarily regulations being put in place, but I think more awareness, both like on the, if you're a wood burner, like you should probably start becoming aware of burning seasoned wood is better,
Yeah.
than burning non-seasoned wet wood, putting a lot of smoke in the air. And then
Yeah.
from a manufacturing side of it, just continuing to innovate and find ways to burn emissions and reduce, as much as you can.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Now, I'm not an expert here, but what I understand, these newer, I just call them EPA stoves. The wood stoves that we had growing up was just like a steel box,
Yep, a
you know,
barrel.
yeah, with a smokestack on it. But these newer ones, I don't know. Everyone wants to complain about them, but from the people that I know that have them, they're the real deal. They've gone from, the one guy says he can heat his house, with like a stick of firewood overnight.
Yeah,
That's how efficient they are. They recycle the smoke, or they reburn the smoke, and they get more heat out of it. And it's also burning all that particulate matter off before it goes up in the atmosphere. I think those are cool. But what I had learned was, if there was an expectation that the air quality would be much better in areas where these stoves were installed, and it's not happening. And they've said the reason it's not happening is because people aren't burning dry, seasoned firewood.
right. Yeah. Yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
still is that, I guess, responsibility on the user. It's like, you can burn, you can, like in my boiler, I can, anything I throw in there, I can end up burning it.
Yeah,
It'll eat through it.
you better
So,
believe it.
I could go cut a tree right now, throw it in there, and it would just smoke like crazy.
Uh huh.
And but if I take the responsibility to season my wood properly to try to reduce, that smoke.
Sure. Out where I live, I know people that have, because we don't have neighbors out here. People have, they burn their garbage. People have burned. They've thrown tires in there, shingles. You
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Yep.
Talk about something that's not healthy to breathe air, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think in the future, I mean, I don't ever see, like a full ban on burning firewood. That I don't ever think is going to
Yeah,
happen.
that's just, yeah,
But
that kind of annoys me.
I can see more, awareness and more maybe, I guess, attention being paid towards, the burning of seasoned wood and having like as much gasification or burning of the
Yeah,
emissions as you can.
I think that there should be, and that's where the way I see the world, I don't see it through any political lens. Again, I stress practicality here. And it's just like automobiles. If we weren't looking to improve and develop, we'd still be driving, the Model T.
Right.
Uh, but look what we got now. you know, I mean, the cars are pretty cool. For what we demand out of them, they're pretty cool. And you start seeing this now in appliances. If you have a forced air gas furnace, how much more efficient they are now.
Yep.
My dad's house, which was built in the 60s, had a gas furnace, but it had a big clay lined chimney because of all the heat loss that came out of it. Now the new ones just have a little 2-inch Schedule 40 pipe that sticks out the side of the wall.
Yeah.
They're so
Crazy.
much more efficient. So you're starting to see that now with these Franklin stoves, with these newer EPA style stoves with a recycler or a catalyst in them. I think they're pretty slick. The way I see the firewood industry, or just firewood in general, in the next 50 years, I think you're going to see exactly what we have now. Maybe more efficient stoves. There might be more locally driven rules on air quality, and new construction, that you can't have a fireplace in a new construction. But I don't see anything global or national
No.
or statewide. I think that is just, I don't know. I think that's just some people, I think they just like to create angst like that and just create problems that don't really exist. You know,
Yep.
because it makes them feel, I don't know, comfortable to find people that they're different from.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I don't
definitely
know.
see more and more technology driving, better results. But in the end, it's still going to come down to, what I put in my boiler is going to affect what comes out.
I would hope that there's trees in 50 years. I would hope that we become better at reforestation. Although I have been reading too on that there are really more trees now in the United States than there were 100 years ago.
Yeah,
There has been a push to plant more trees, but it takes a while for some of these trees to grow before
yeah,
we could use them again. Yeah, but I would hope that there's trees. I would hope that the firewood industry could professionalize as well, and we could drive this concept of seasoned firewood. That
yeah.
we take ownership of that. If we are advertising seasoned firewood, that's actually what we're selling. And if there is a problem coming down the road in the form of legislation that we disagree with, maybe it could be avoided.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard at all about like any alternative firewoods out there, like the hemp log?
I have not.
Yeah,
Are you
I
burning hemp up there in Wisconsin?
well, not in that form, but or the form you were probably insinuating, but but no, I've actually seen where there is a company out there that they produce what's called the hemp log, and it's made from hemp, and apparently it burns great. And if you know anything about hemp, it grows extremely fast, and and
Oh,
I
wow.
that's another thing that I think there's possibly going to be, in the future, more and more maybe alternatives to firewood that
Sure.
create the same result, burning for heat or burning, I don't
Right.
know, for recreational use.
Yeah. Well, when I hear that though, okay, so if you're looking for a clean burning alternative, for a weekend of fires, but if you're looking to heat that with that, I'm looking at it more globally here. It takes input and energy to create that log,
Yep.
to take some type of a waste material to compress it to make it into a log, and then to market it and ship it, because that's probably being made in 5 states away, and then so it has to be shipped. And that's why firewood is such a logical, locally sourced solution for heating.
Exactly. Yep.
And I think that's when you start losing that. But even with the firewood that we make here, I have so much sawdust and scraps, and I don't have anything to do with them. So I just dump them on the ground. Would
Ooh.
I throw them into the furnace this winter? Or I got a guy that takes some of my sawdust for his chickens, but not all of it.
Yeah.
But maybe there could be some developments in our industry on making use of this waste, either returning it to the soil for fertilizer for the future forests, or being able to heat with it in some way too.
Yeah. Pack it into pellets, pellet burning
Yeah,
stoves. There you go.
pellets are interesting. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen one of those machines that they make them? They're pretty cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't lay awake at night worrying about the firewood industry being shut down. I just think that's just a silly that's
Right.
just a silly thought. It's just not true.
Yeah. If
So,
if anything, it's just going to have to adapt like everything else. Like you mentioned the car. Like, if
mhm.
I mean they have refrigerators out there now that as you take stuff out of the refrigerator, it keeps track of how much you use and it will like give you your grocery list. Like it's automated where like it tells your fridge tells you you're low on milk.
Yeah.
It's crazy what innovation and technology can do. So I think in 50 years, firewood definitely still be here. there just might be some advancements in how we use it.
If I had one of those devices on my woodshed, it would be stuck on, you need more wood.
Daily reminder, Joe, you
Yeah.
need more firewood.
Yeah. But I do believe, though, that you're probably going to start seeing regional dynamics or local, where there is, people that agree to live in a community somewhere and they don't want wood smoke, which, that's their loss.
Yes.
But that is why we have our towns and counties and cities and states set up the way that they are, so that you can have laws and rules and regulations that reflect your local standards.
Yep.
And that's where I think you get people that get wrapped around the axle worrying about something that's happening 10 states over, because that's their problem and they are dealing it with their way. So that's the practical side of me. I'll worry about it when it happens here on my street.
Yeah, and that's where I'm glad I'm sometimes tuned out from most everything in the world. I don't care.
Yeah, right. Well, I do care. There are things that I care about, but
Yes.
I see it through the lens of, what does this mean to me?
Right.
I don't fight no one else's fight. I don't, I pay attention to things that I can control.
So in 10 years, will the Ohio wood burner fleet of delivery vehicles be all self-driving electric trucks?
Well, I will give you the address to the nursing home I'll be staying at, and stop by and I'll tell you then.
Yes, I'll be sure to check in.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could fuel a vehicle with firewood and deliver firewood with that firewood fueled vehicle?
I saw somewhere you can make a combustion engine run on firewood. They built it inside of like a 55-gallon drum, and they would collect the gases and it would pipe to the carburetor.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
Or you could have a Stanley steamer and just, steam a pot of water and create steam, and you can use
Yes.
fire just like a locomotive.
Nice. That would be. Let me tell you, you
Yeah.
could really turn some heads then, going down the street.
Well, Dan, I thought this was interesting.
Another topic that's sparked some, I guess, thoughts in my mind.
The future of firewood.
Future of firewood.
I think the future is bright. It's a renewable resource. It is locally sourced. There's not a lot of transportation and shipping, from Guatemala to Ohio, like tomatoes and strawberries. And it supports local economy. And, if you handle it responsibly, it's a great, reliable heating source.
That is correct. The future is bright. It's burning bright. The future of firewood.
Dan, what do you say? Let's head on outside and we'll get you heading back to Wisconsin.
Yes, that sounds good. I'll strike up the band, and I will once again thank everyone for tuning in to the #1 rated firewood podcast in the world, the Woodhounds. That's
right. We want to thank everyone for tuning in and making us the #1 firewood broadcast in the world. And I hope that everyone stays
fun
and remaining
cool and have a great day.